to Intermediate Level English Language Arts.
Hi guys, and welcome to English Language Arts Grade 6 Intermediate Level. Right? Let us jump right into the topic for today. We are going to be discussing week 2, right, of Intermediate Level Grade 6 ELA. Let's go with the objectives for today. There are two. The first one would be to be able to review nouns, the keyword review, and to be able to review the two different forms, the S form and the possessive form of nouns. Now, let's go with the first one, the S form of nouns. Since this is a review, right, it is only appropriate that we review the very basic. Again, what are nouns? Nouns, to keep it simple, these are just names. The simplest form would be nouns or names. But if you'd like to give a more specific term, right, nouns are names of people, places, things, animals, events, ideas, concepts, and other abstracts. Other abstracts such as, for example, love or freedom. See, anything that is a name is already considered a noun. So, for example, the name of someone with the quality of being strong is strength. The name of someone or something with the quality of being free is freedom. So these are different names, and all of these are under nouns. Now we will not ever go through the different kinds of nouns, the common, the proper, the count, the mass, and the collective nouns, because it is already expected that you guys already should know about these. Right? Again, keyword review. Yes. So why review though? Why servants? Why review? Why not recognize, or just like how it used to be? The thing is, you guys already are in grade 6. And being in grade 6, kids, it is already a crucial stage. By now, you are supposed to be mastering these things already. Come grade 7, 8, 9, 10 onwards, you're going to go through these again, yes. But the difference is your teachers would expect that you guys already should know about these at a certain degree, at a certain level. Thus, mastery. Thus, the term review. Now, let's go with the very first kind of the first thing we're going to review, the S form of nouns, right? So forming the plurals of regular and irregular nouns. Regular nouns, basically you just add an S or an ES. You have a general rule there. What's a general rule? In the English language, there is no such thing as the general rule. There's none, right? This is something I came up with. This is something I made. I, as servants, made to tell or to give you an idea of what it is or what rule would be best applied to certain new words or on words where you're not familiar with the exact rule and you'd like to be understood. See, the thing about English language, guys, is that even if you do not, even if you're not grammatically correct, yes, so long as you are understood, then that's good. But the thing is, to increase the chance of being correct, to increase the chance of being understood, you have to be grammatically correct. But there are instances wherein there are new things or new words, such as, for example, last year or a few years ago, you have certain new words, terms such as, for example, sus or cap, no cap, or you're being sus right now. These are new terms, and see how dynamic the English language is. It constantly changes, it constantly updates. So there are instances where you do not know, or there are certain words you do not really know the rule. Thus, enter the general rule. Basically, kids, if it does not end in if it does not end in S, then add S. If it ends in S, then add ES. That's the most basic rule. Right. But of course, there are specific rules. I'm not saying you do this on every word. I repeat, I am not saying you do the general rule on every word. All I'm saying is the general rule is used so that you can apply it in different situations, right? For you to be understood. That's the goal, to be understood. Right? Now let's go with the different specific rules. There are a lot of specific rules, right? Number one, By the way, this is for regular nouns. Number one, add s to the singular form of most nouns. Most of the nouns, you really just add s. Keep it simple. Oppressor, oppressors, laptop, laptops, effort, efforts. Most nouns, you add s. But there are certain nouns that you do not add s, such as, for example, nouns that end in s, or ss, or z, or ch, or sh, or x, like in number two. These are words, or these are nouns you add that es for those. Es. How about number three? If the noun ends in f or fe, change the f to v first. F to v. And then add s if it ends in e or es. Okay. For example, elf. Elf ends in f, right? So you change the f to v and then you add es, right? But for example, the word life, next one, life, right? You do not change the f to v and then add es. It would be leaves, lives. No, we just add s. Change f to v and then add s. You have other words examples here. I'd like you to just read them up later on as you go through the PowerPoint, which I will post. There are certain exemptions to this rule, though. Certain words, such as, for example, roof. Roof, you add just an s. You don't say roofs. Well, look at the different colored roofs, right? Safe. Safe as in the thing wherein you store things, right? You know, in a bank, you have a safe, usually with a lock. Right? Usually it's a dialed lock or a certain thing, right? So long as it's a secured place you can put valuables in, that's a safe. Now, if you say saves, that's a different word. That's a different word. Okay? So the plural of safe, that thing or that place you put your valuable things in, is safes. Belief, beliefs. Chief, chiefs. Even chef, chefs. These are different exemptions to the rules. There are still more, but again, I cannot discuss or show or tell all of them. The reason is, number one, it would take a lot of time. And number two, even I do not remember or memorize all of them. I don't memorize all of them. Again, I just like to remind everyone, all of you guys, that the English language is something that you constantly need to do, something that you constantly need to learn. And the best way to do this is either by reading or watching or playing different media, different forms, different things, stories or whatnot, games, movies that uses the English language, or better yet, converse, talk to people in the English language. That is the best way for you to really, really know the different words or the different exemptions to the rules. Okay, next. Fourth, if the noun ends with y, there are two things that would happen if it ends in y. If it ends in y and it precedes, or it is preceded by a consonant, that means the letter before y is a consonant, change y to I first and then add es. The rule is never change y to ies. No. Remember your general rule? Add s or es. Therefore, to tell correctly the rule, change y to I first and then add es. Example, the word city, cities, country, countries, opportunity, opportunities, duty, duties. But for example, if it is preceded by a vowel, it ends in y, and it is before y, you have a consonant, a vowel, sorry, you have a vowel. For example, key, or toy, or monkey, or turkey, or plate. You just add s. Key becomes keys. You don't say kiwi, like that. Or toy, you don't say that. Monkey, that's weird. Rather, you just say keys, or toys, or monkeys. Add an s. 6. Add es to some nouns ending in o. Some. Not all. Some. For example, we have hero becomes heroes, echo becomes echoes, buffalo becomes buffaloes, potato becomes potatoes. But certain words, you add s. That end in o, you add s. For example, radio becomes radios, kilo becomes kilos, bamboo becomes bamboos, Filipino becomes Filipinos. Again, I can list all of them, right? There are even certain words that can add s or es. Some words that you should not. One thing's for sure though, you have two different rules for words ending in O. Why, sir? Why? Certain words, just for example, right? Proper nouns, Filipino, right? You just add S to those words. Or certain words that are shortcuts of a complete word, for example, kilo, kilogram, right? Then that's how it works, right? Or for example, radio, certain technical terms, you just add S. Yes. What about irregular nouns? Irregular nouns are different. These are words or nouns that you would do something else with the word. As a while ago, if it's a regular noun, just add S or ES. That's a general term, or that's a general rule. But if it's an irregular noun, what do you do? The different rules we will discuss. Number one, some nouns have the same singular and plural forms, such as, for example, sheep. The plural of sheep is sheep. The plural of deer is deer. The plural of swine, as in the pig, is swine. The plural of furniture is furniture. It's some nouns, number two, are plural in form but are singular in meaning, such as, for example, mumps or gymnastics or mathematics. This is a common term, mathematics. You don't say, "Oh, I like mathematic." You don't say that, right? Rather, you say mathematics, athletics. I'm good at gymnastic. No. Next, number three. Some nouns have different singular and plural forms, such as, for example, you change the spelling. Child becomes children, woman becomes women, tooth becomes teeth, person becomes people. Sir, what about persons? That works too. Yes. What about childs? Nah, children. Next, four. Some nouns are used in plural form and only in the plural form, such as, for example, pincers. You know, the things for the crab, the claws, pants, trousers, jeans, pliers. You don't say, "Oh, I have pant." No. Certain letters with a capital letter, right? Or certain words or numbers, right? You either add just S or an apostrophe and then S. Specifically for small letters. So, for example, there are a lot of P's. Oh, yeah. In this book, there were a lot of P's, as in the letter P. Then you write it like that. P with an apostrophe S. Yes. 6. Compound noun, separated by a hyphen, or are two or more words used as one noun. You either add S to the principal word. So a principal word is quite tricky to find. Rather, these are words that really hold the meaning. Now you would see what I mean by this. For example, the word passerby. You don't say passerbys, you say passers-by. Because your principal word is passer. It's a passer. It's someone who's passing. So if it's someone who's passing by is a passerby. So a lot of people who are a lot of passers-by is called the passers-by, or is called passers-by. Yeah, that was difficult to construct that sentence. Next, brother-in-law. Again, your principal word here is brother and not in-law. In-law refers to the condition wherein you marry someone. You get married to someone and you are affiliated or related to them by law. So he or she, for example, you get married in the future, right? The brother of your spouse would be your brother-in-law. The key word there is brother, the principal word. So you say brothers-in-law. Major generals, on the other hand, this is another compound noun, right? It's different because your keyword, your principal word there is general. Major is basically just a term or it's an adjective added to it. Forget me not. What's forget me not? These are flowers. Forget me nots. Yes. Or they could also refer to different things that would always remind you or would make sure that you won't forget. Look it up. Now, there are also certain things, rules, special case rules. For example, some foreign nouns have the same plural as the original language. For example, phenomenon becomes phenomena. Cactus becomes cacti. Datum becomes data. Radius, that is the length of the edge of the circle up until the middle of a circle. You learned that in math. That's radius. A lot of radius is radii. Alumnus is someone who graduated from a certain place. For example, you graduate here in Oak Ridge. right? You are technically an alumnus, right? And a lot of alumnus would be an alumni. Appendices, these are things found in the books or in your body. Basis becomes basis. Oasis, that thing, the beautiful spots found in the middle of the desert, an oasis. So oasis. Analysis, bacterium. These are different foreign words that have different foreign plural forms. Some nouns taken from foreign languages have English and foreign plurals. Example, index becomes indices. Indexes or indices. Formula becomes formulas or formulae. Vertex becomes vertices or vertexes or vertices. Again, the list goes on. So much. I did not include all of them. Again, kids, you have to really look them up. Now we're done with the S form. What about the other form, possessive form? Unlike the S form, which talks about the plural of things, possessive form shows your possession. You own. It shows ownership. So if you'd like to say that something owns something or someone owns something, right, you would use the possessive form. And just like the S form, you also have the general rule. What's your general rule? Add an apostrophe and the letter S, right, on almost all of them. But if it ends in S already, just add an apostrophe already. Or just only add an apostrophe. Take, for example, here, Mary's dress, the boys' uniforms. Both of these words, Mary and boy, do not end in S. So you just add an apostrophe and then S. Again, this is different from the plural form. Do not interchange them. Now, there are so many rules, especially in your books. Let's just go through some of the noteworthy ones, the things that you that are important to always remember. Like, for example, number 1, add an apostrophe to plural proper nouns. For example, a lot of people with the last name Vidal would say Vidals, Santoses, 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 sorry, Santoses. There we go. Yeah. Even the pronunciation is different. I will discuss that in a bit. Next, add an apostrophe in S to singular proper nouns ending in S. For example, you have a proper noun that ends in S, like for example, Charles or Dickens. You add an apostrophe in S. But adding an apostrophe is fine too. Both of them would be pronounced as Charles's, Dickens's, right? Charles's, there we go. That's much better. Charles's and Dickens's, both, whether they end in an apostrophe or an apostrophe S, both are actually accepted. Another one, add an apostrophe and S at the end of compound nouns. Again, we just discussed compound nouns, right? Example, sister-in-laws, editor-in-chiefs. You don't do this like you consider the principal word. No, this is different. You would just stick basically to the whole word itself. Next, add an apostrophe and S to the last noun to show joint possession. For example, you have more than one person owning something. Roger and Mary, for example, owns a home. You would say Roger and Mary's home. You don't say Roger's and Mary's home. No, say Roger and Mary's home. Okay? You add an apostrophe and S to each noun to show separate possession. If they both own, for example, Bob and Kim both own papers, and you are referring to Bob's papers and Kim's papers, you say Bob's and Kim's papers. The English language is quite complicated. It all depends on what you mean, what you're trying to convey. The first one, the previous one, if they both own something, like Roger and Mary owns this house, it's just one house, you're referring to one house, then you say Roger and Mary's house. But for example, you're referring to Roger's house, and then you're referring to Mary's house, you say Roger's and Mary's house. That's how it works. Okay? Now for the recap. To recap, basically, these two different forms are very important because a lot of people make a lot of grammatical errors or grammatical mistakes, grammatic errors with these very basic forms. I have a lot of adults already with mixing up these two different forms, which is why it's very important that by now you guys should already master them. Okay? You guys should already master these two different forms because these will be very crucial even later on. They serve as a very big part, a big chunk of the English language. And unless you want to be like a lot of people who make mistakes and post different things in the internet, best, keep in mind these different rules, right? Okay, and that basically ends our topic for week 2 of intermediate level English language arts grade 6. With that, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!